college football with Gary Danielson now. And before I get to the games of Saturday, Gary, this Clowney thing has taken on a little bit of a life of its own. Have any thoughts on Clowney in South Carolina?
Actually, I do. And you know that from visiting with you for the past couple of years, I've talked a lot about the elite athletes in college football and how sometimes they can create great pressure points in this game because football, unlike all the other sports, you have to do a 3-year commitment to college football before you're allowed to play professional football where, we've got a 19-year-old hockey player scoring 4 goals.
Right.
We've got 20-year-old baseball players almost being MVP, and, we've got basketball players that obviously go right from high school. So I think it's more complicated with the elite athletes. I really believe the system stinks.
I agree. And Clowney didn't want to play this year. He didn't want to play this year.
I don't think deep in his heart he had any choice.
Right.
What is he supposed to do, sit out?
Right.
That's uncharted waters. What would people think about that? And I think you have to put yourself in his shoes. Just, here's a guy who would have gone in the top 4 or 5 last year. People have to be telling him, and not necessarily agents. People have to be saying,
and he knows it. Yes.
You got $20 million riding on you being healthy. And Marcus Lattimore, his teammate, blew out his knee and went in the 4th round.
Correct.
How can that not filter into your thoughts?
I agree.
I think we should just give him a break on this.
And let him play. I have to sympathize with. I know people are killing him, and the amazing thing is, it's the college football community that's killing him. When they should realize it's not fair, because you know what, he is. I see his part of this, and it is a bad system, and he should be that special player who's allowed, like in every other sport, to go to the pros early. That's all.
I think so, and I've been saying. And here's the benefit that could happen if we did that. It's not going to happen all that often, by the way. But if it does, the kids that come back, all right, suppose Johnny Manziel comes back, okay, and says, I don't want to go to the NFL. Well, then you darn well better follow all the rules and quit crying about having a lack of money. You're sacrificing to get a good college education. Yes, this system here is making a lot of money, but you chose to be a part of it, and you're trying, like every one of these kids, every kid that's recruited in big-time college football, think they're going through college football to become an NFL player. So you're gaining something from it, too. I
agree. And I do see Clowney side of this, even though he's getting destroyed. And I'll tell you, if he doesn't play another down, we all know he's going to be one of the first 2 players picked because he's that good. That's all there is to it. All right. Texas, Oklahoma, a big game tomorrow for Mac Brown. Can he stay competitive in this game?
Well, it's a big game for Bob Stoops, too. He's got the better team.
But there's a lot of people think Mac Brown, if he doesn't put on a good showing, might not survive at Texas.
No, we all know that. Mac he might not survive whatever he does in this football game at the end of the year. He could. You're right. He could have to step down, I guess, or if he decide to step away,
which is unfair too. We're very unfair. Yes.
Right, but Bobby Stoops got the better team. And he's got a team that can stay in the hunt to be potentially mentioned for a national championship. He's got to win this football game. So the pressure goes both ways on this thing. And it'll be an interesting. I've done, I think, 5 or 6 of those games when it was at its peak, when they were 1-3 in these games. And it's not as good a matchup this year, but it's a lot of fun doing that game. It means a lot to those people.
Oh, big game, yeah.
Fans.
I've been there. I've been in that game. That's a great game. It really is. It's a great setting. It's a great game. It really is. It means a lot to a lot of people. It really does. A&M goes to Ole Miss. I think that's a tricky spot for them tomorrow. I'll be fascinated to see if they win that game at Ole Miss.
I agree with you 100%. Hugh Freeze got his team with a lot of publicity starting out this year. They beat now, it looks like, an inferior Texas team and got a lot of pump for their football team, but they went on the road, lost 2 football games, and now they come home.
Yep.
This is the game. There's been Ole Miss coaches before. Houston Nutt got Ole Miss rolling a little bit.
Yep.
Orgeron had them going a little bit.
Yep.
Now, can Hugh take the next step with his football team? He's gotten good recruiting last year. He can't allow it to slip. And, he's got Johnny Manziel coming in there. It's a great football game. Anytime he plays, we're going to get to see him again next week against Auburn. But I think it's a huge game for Hugh Freeze and his program as he continues to try to grow it.
Is this the best Oregon team of all the Oregon teams?
I think so. The reason I think so is because they have a quarterback that can throw. When Auburn beat them in the national championship, even when LSU kind of embarrassed them a little bit in that opening game, they really dared the Oregon team to throw the ball, and they wouldn't do it. But I think Marcus Mariota now brings that last position, and you're seeing the same thing. Chip Kelly is finding out this. I predicted this in September. It's a throwing league. And as many zone reads as you want to run, that's all great. But it all just is there to set up the pass. And you better be able to throw the ball. And I think now this Oregon team, take it all. Take their whole package. And it's tremendously effective, the way they've recruited around what they believe. But they now got a quarterback. If you sneak up a guy to stop anything they do, they got a guy that can burn you deep. I think it is their most dangerous team.
Yeah, and they are scoring points at a scary rate right now. That Oregon team doing a terrific job. And
one thing from last week, I thought a really good news and a good point for college football fans. That late night game between Stanford and Washington was ESPN's highest-rated game on cable for the weekend. That's good news for our game. It's been a little bit concentrated in the SEC, the Big Ten, of course. I think it's great that the fans are still understanding and recognizing the excellence of Stanford. Sarkisian's got them going at Washington. For this game to be truly great, and, this SEC, they love dominating now, but they have raised the bar, and it looks like these other schools are now starting to answer it.
And that was a good Notre Dame win last week. I didn't think they'd win that game. Yeah, me too. I didn't think they'd handle that speed, and they did a good job. That was a good win for them.
When you asked me that last week, and I said I was very impressed with the way Brian Kelly has added talent throughout his program. Okay, but I didn't know if they could match up with the talent in this football game because of the quarterback. And listen, Tommy Rees does a lot of great things, and he's a godsend for them. He makes a few mistakes, but he is a winnable quarterback, and I thought that was a big win for Notre Dame and Brian Kelly.